Let's get it started. Let's get it cracking. It's about to be love. All right.
What's up?
What up? What up?
Hi.
Y'all got the good lighting in LA. Look
We
at
were trying to
that.
decide where we wanted to go. If we wanted to go in front of the window, or we had like a custom light we were gonna try to use.
Oh, y'all got custom lights.
Look, we trying to be ready.
Wow.
Is this like family friendly? Am I allowed to indulge in alcoholic beverages on this?
You can indulge in whatever you want to.
All right.
This is all about y'all. So whatever y'all feel most comfortable with, that's it. That's it.
Cool. Well, what's
Awesome.
up? Thank you for having us.
Of course. And people here on time. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. 287, 305 and counting. Okay.
Run
it up then. Run it up.
Look, if we hit 400, I will take another shot.
Oh.
Sorry.
You might hear our dogs in the background.
Oh, I love it.
They like to play and run and
be
distraction.
Yeah, we have two
FYI.
huskies, so.
That's love. Oh, I think I was watching on your story. That was them shedding, right? That's what their hair was?
Yeah, that was just one of them, not two.
Well, we didn't even brush the other dog. We only brushed one dog.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, okay. That sounds good. I mean, I love dogs, so if they pop in, that'll be a nice special appearance.
Okay.
But thank you guys for joining Be Great, Good to Great. We're highlighting people in their walks of life and their journey. Today we have the fabulous, the wonderful Jameila in Brooklyn blessing the live. So appreciate y'all coming in. I had tequila during my interview. It's all good. Oh my God.
There it is. That person gets it. Whoever said that.
Yeah, it's quarantine, so it is what it is.
Right.
But I'm glad to have you both. Thank you so much for taking an hour out to, bless people with your journey, talk about what you guys are doing. I know you guys are spreading tons of love and inspiration about, and you guys have your own career. So I want you guys to, I don't know individually or if you guys want to do it together, but like just tell everybody, who you are, where you're from, what you're doing now, just like a quick background so people can get a little acquainted with both of you.
My name is Matt. A lot of my friends know me as Brooklyn or BK. I'm a senior social strategist here in Los Angeles at an agency called 72 and Sunny. I mean, I'm sure we'll get more into the conversation of our actual story, similar to what you just touched on. But ever since 2010, I want to say, I knew I wanted to end up in LA. So that was a goal of mine. And I mean, I had the opportunity to jump out here with the job I got, and here I am.
Awesome.
Hi, I am Jameila, and I'm a dancer. I'm originally from Chicago. I studied dance in college, graduated with a dance degree, taught for 2 years in Chicago as like a dance teacher, After School Matters, which is basically like a non-for-profit organization that helps out CPS kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to move to Atlanta to train more and to just be more in my career, which led me to get with this guy. We could talk more about how that started, and then now I'm in LA, doing the same thing, just training and trying to get booked, basically.
Okay, so are you teaching now, or are you just dancing?
No, I haven't taught since Chicago.
Oh wow, okay.
I left Chicago. I made a very adamant decision to not teach.
Okay.
Unless I came back to Chicago, which I do frequently, and then I teach a class here and there. But I wanted to really train myself more in that field, other than just teaching what I already knew.
Got you. Because in LA, everybody has booking info and everything, so people can book you and schedule you.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but not really. Like my focus is really just training and getting booked rather than actually choreographing and teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for everyone too that's joining, this is a very interactive session. So if you have any questions for them, literally just drop it in or put it in the question thingy down there, and then we'll pop it up. And this is how it goes back and forth. Or if not, I have a ton of questions, so that's that's always good too.
You ready?
I know. So Brooklyn, social strategist, what is that? And how did you get to that point? Do you have to go to college to do that, or like?
No. So the wild thing is, I mean, for those of y'all that, sorry, the dog is moving over here now and trying to knock the phone down. for those of y'all that do know me and a little bit of my story, neither of my parents are from the States. My dad was born and raised in Haiti. My mom was born and raised in Guyana, which is in South America, not to be confused with Ghana. And I tell y'all that because a lot of what the pressure was when we were growing up was, fall into one of these positions that's the American dream. So like doctor, lawyer, teacher, engineer, one of those things. It was never assumed that I would get paid to play on like social media all day or the computer all day. I didn't go to school for it. Advertising wasn't even a major at Illinois State University. And then on top of that, you just look at the numbers. There's not a lot of people that look like myself in that industry. So I knew nothing about it. Stumbled across a position, or an internship, I should say, with Marcus Graham Project. Basically, they take students and graduates from across the world to start their own ad agency in Dallas, Texas, and it's starting to expand to different places now. But just imagine if the real world met Mad Men, if anyone has watched either of those shows. And so, yeah, that's how I stumbled into advertising. And basically what I do on a day-to-day basis is help brands figure out who they should be talking to, how they should be talking to them, what platforms they should show up on, if at all. And then just working closely with the creatives for whatever idea they have, whether it be on television, whether it be an actual experiential event happening in person, helping them figure out how to translate that to the digital space.
And do you do that with a firm or do you do that by yourself?
I do that. So there's 2 senior social strategists at my agency now, myself being one of them. The brands that I'm working on are Adidas, Call of Duty, Activision, Blizzard. I'm sorry, the dogs are going at it.
You're good.
I'm trying to think, Supercuts, New Business, and then our diversity and inclusion efforts as well. So it's a large agency, about 200 or so people, but there's only 2 people that do what I do, and then specific to certain brands.
And you got into that in Atlanta or in LA?
I got into that actually in Illinois.
Got it.
And then did that program in Dallas, Texas, which took me back to Chicago for some time. Had an opportunity to help launch the social strategy department at an agency in Atlanta, and then that opportunity got me poached to come here to LA.
Got it. Now, would you recommend this program that you did in Dallas to other people?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Marcus Graham Project, y'all can look it up, MGP, on Google, and you'll find it pretty easily. And it's expanded. They just did a class here in Los Angeles this year. Things unfortunately had to end a little bit early because of COVID. Obviously, you can't control anything about that. But I would recommend it. This was like the jumpstart catapult to my entire industry career. Like I learned everything from, the late nights and the grind to actually learning how to network and talk to people. So I also like to talk about the fact that ever since I had that opportunity, every job that I've had, I have not had to officially apply. Like I've not had to go into the website and, click that apply button and then hope someone reaches back out to me. Through that program, every opportunity I've gotten has been through the network I've created since then.
And did you have like a mentor or someone who told you like, hey, you shouldn't go down this like regular straight narrow path. Like I feel like you should go more into like social media strategy.
Absolutely. So Ronnie Dickerson from Chicago, she works at Digitas now. She split it up into very clear categories for me. She said, make sure, and I might butcher this, but she said, make sure you have your advocate, your champion, and your defender. So I like to bucket my mentors into those categories. Like, your defender is when you're not in the room, someone who's gonna have your back. So a terrible example of this could be, if they're trying to decide cuts on who needs to leave the agency because of what's going on with COVID and dollars aren't there. Your defender is someone who will stand up in the room and say, okay, not Matt, not Brooklyn. We need to keep him because of X, Y, and Z. Your advocate is going to be someone who's screaming your name from the rooftop. So whether it be for someone trying to pull me into a new agency or just in general for an award, whatever it may be, it's someone who's going to say, like, this is the guy we need to bring in on this. And then finally, what was the last one I said? I said your advocate, your defender, and your champion.
Yes.
And then your champion, I mean, it's, again, similar to that, but that really comes into play when it's time for things like the Bill Sharp Award is something that I've been trying to go out for years. So those would be the people I tap first for a letter of recommendation or something like that.
Isn't your advocate, your champion, and your defender right there?
Right here next to me?
Yeah.
That plus more, yes. Look at it.
Good answer, babe. Good answer.
Yeah, one answer.
No, that's I think that's real. I think even in the business world, I always tell people, always have a coach, a mentor, and I think that's exactly the 3 people that you spoke about. Because there are some people that can't be both, right? You have to be one or the other.
Exactly.
So Jameila, how did you get into dance? Were you always a dancer? Like, is your family like, okay, cool, she's gonna be a dancer, and that's great. Like, what? Tell me about your story.
Okay, so I've been dancing forever, but I always say I've been dancing as a profession since college.
Okay.
So like I started out my life in cheerleading.
Okay.
So like just from literally like kindergarten through 6th grade, I believe I was always a cheerleader. Okay. But I had dance like background. So like I had a cousin who had like created this dance team from Robbins, Illinois. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Robbins or like Hazelcrest or whatever. It's like a suburb out of Chicago. But we did like the parades and all kind of stuff. So that's when I was like, my love for dance kind of created, and it was literally the whole team was just me and my cousins. So it was like the perfect like dance team. And then I got to 7th grade, and then my art teacher, who was in my middle school, was also she had her own dance studio, and she just kind of like took me under her wing. So I would like go to her studio and like clean and like teach or like assist for exchange of free classes. So she did like tap, jazz, hip hop, blah, 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 you know. And then from there, I just grew a love for dance. 8th grade was just like a random year. I did basketball. Don't know where that came from, but it was like dance, basketball, and then back to dance. But high school and on, and then college, I was like, yeah, I told my family if I'm going to go to college, it needs to be something I want to do. So if it's not dance, then I don't want to go.
And they were okay with that.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, what else can you like go if I'm not gonna go? I always wanted to go to Columbia, but it was very expensive. And then I found out that Northern NIU had a dance program. They had major and minor. So I originally started out as a dance minor, theater major, and then I graduated as a dance major, theater minor. So I just switched it. And then it was just from there, it was just like dance is honestly my only option. I didn't have a plan B.
What are like your options when you graduate in dance? Right? I think that's why I think a lot of people in older generations are so afraid of like those creative entrepreneurial careers, right? With finance or something else. Like, okay, you're going to a bank, you're going to this firm, you're going here. Like as a dancer, where do you go? What do you do? Like you said, you could teach, you can be your dancer yourself. You can go with other people. Like the world is your oyster.
Yeah, it depends just basically on your personal decision. Like it's some people that graduate from college with a dance degree and want to go company side. So it's company as like the Alvin Ailey. So like you're trying to get into those type of companies to be the lead or to be like the lead dancer. There's also dance where you can do choreograph side, where it's like, I don't want to be a dancer. I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to perform. I just want to teach and I want my work to be portrayed through other dancers. And that's how I get my. And then it's the dance side where it's like, I want to dance. Mine is like touring. So like I want to tour. I want to be with an artist. I want to be more commercial and you know, in that type of field, which is, me personally think it's like split up. So like the company, the choreograph, and then the other et cetera of dance, we use dancing, which is commercials, TV, touring, music videos. That's like the other end, and then but it's two total opposite things as in company and commercial.
And is that why you're in LA?
Yes.
Okay.
And no. Yes and no.
Yeah, the LA move, it actually worked perfect. So the thing about it is, like, I mean, both of our stories are like a little bit random when it comes to how we actually got here. Like I said before, I always wanted to end up in LA, and that was a deal breaker for me. So when she moved to Atlanta, I was recently coming off of another relationship. And a part of that, that was like, you know, a little bit of a frustration was I always wanted to move to LA. And like, whenever I knew like, okay, whatever my next relationship is, I want to avoid an argument or avoid a disagreement and make sure I get it out the way, like up front. Hey, I want to move to LA. This is where I want to plant my roots and start my family. And I brought that to Jameila, and she was down. So that was something that was like, oh yeah, let's definitely do it. It's better for my career here as far as advertising. And then, like she said, she spoke about all the opportunities in dance. So I don't know if I could speak for you, but I don't think it was expected to come as fast as it did. But when the opportunity for the job hit me up and they said they would pay for both of us to move here, I was like, yes.
It was an opportunity that I could turn down, but it was like I did not prepare my life at all to be in LA right now. Like I would have probably stayed in Atlanta for at least 3 years.
How long were you guys there for?
I was there for 11 months.
And I was there for
Wow.
a little under 2 years.
Yeah.
You literally just like came and left.
Literally.
Yeah, it's wild because like both of us have a lot of the same friend groups, but we knew of each other since like 2013, but we didn't really know each other. And then she came to my going away party before I moved in 2016, and then I moved down there, and then ended up single. And fast forward a year, she moved to Atlanta. I was like, oh, single too?
Oh, you had your eyes on her. You were like,
Hey, look, I shot my shot. Like I was convinced that I was not getting in another relationship anytime soon. I wanted to move international. I wanted to focus on myself and my career. And I mean, you hear those conversations all the time, and to each his or her own. So please, no one take offense. But I saw it as you can't focus on both. And then once I met her, I realized that I myself could. So that kind of altered some things. So yeah, like you said, when she got there, I had my eye on her, and I shot my shot, and it happened to work.
and that was it.
And now we.
So now you're engaged. Congratulations. I was watching the videos.
I came out of a 5-year relationship, not wanting to get into anything after that.
Y'all both were like, forget everything.
I was like, I'm not looking for anything relationship wise. This is my chance to have my moment, to be free and single.
Especially, Meg's out here with the hot girl summer and everything.
Right, I didn't even get a chance. No, he tried to give me a chance. I tried. I really tried, y'all. I'm just not that. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I tried, though.
We got a question from Jay. Oh, he said, did you work with the Marcus Graham Project? Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Graham Project. So I did the program back in 2014. And when I did the program, so Lincoln Steffens is a founder, Lincoln and Larry. And when I got a chance to do the program, I'd actually left. So it's all an interesting story from me graduating and having a job immediately in sales and thinking I made it, making $40K a year. I was like, this is it. I was 22 at that time, living still at Illinois State. So in Bloomington Normal. So my rent was like, my portion was maybe $700-800 a month, and I'm making $40K a year. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm going.
That's love.
Exactly. And like, you want to go out to the bars and drinks are 75 cents. So I was like, oh, I have nothing to worry about. But then I realized I wasn't happy doing that. And so I quit. Parents didn't like it again. Told you the foreign parents are like, all right, well, how you making money? So I picked up a job delivering pizza in Chicago while still living in Bloomington Normal. And this was the winter. So doing a drive back and forth about 2.5 hours because of the snow each way. Working, I want to say, from 8 a.m. until I would change clothes at like 4:45 p.m. and then deliver pizza from 5 until 3 on the days that I did both jobs. And I was doing that consistently. And then luckily, Marcus Graham Project fell upon my lap. At the same time, another internship opportunity did called Walton Isaacson. I did Walton Isaacson for a couple months. And when I was there, the Marcus Graham Project popped up. And I was like, you know what? It's a chance to learn so much about the entire industry that I leaped at it versus just sticking with the first internship I had. So that's what really drew me in. And then after talking to the founder, Lincoln, about everything, I told him, I was like, yo, if I'm going to do this program, I will invest as much as I possibly can, just invest in me. And so what that turned into is not only did we have our group that actually was working towards the clients we worked with during the summer, I also worked on Marcus Graham Project as a brand. So that's what really connected me close with Lincoln and just kept me close throughout the years. And it's really a family. Everyone that's done the program still keeps in touch for the most part with one another as well.
Wow. That's awesome. I love like sharing different programs and stuff that can help like change someone's trajectory, right? Because a lot of people have the opportunity, or like are a go-getter, right? They were like, I want to get it, I can do it, but I don't have the opportunity. No one put anything in front of me. And a lot of times it takes like a million conferences or trying to network with a million people to get one thing. You know, and if it wasn't that one person you met at that one place, then you wouldn't be where you were. And it's like, how can we make it easier where it's just like, you just go here and then it'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, all you really need is one yes through all that. Because even when I applied for Marcus Graham Project, I was late to apply. Luckily, someone in my college, shout him out, Johnny Fresh. He had actually done Marcus Graham Project before me. And then when I went to the event where they had a table, he sat at the table next to me. I was like, oh, what's up? And he was like, yeah, you should apply. Like, you know, I'll connect you with Lincoln. The deadline, I want to say, had either just passed or was going to pass like within 24 hours. I had, I want to say, like $20-something in my account. And I shipped and sent everything like next day delivery, which brought me to like negative something, like negative 45 or something in my account. So I didn't have any money. I was low on gas. Again, it's snowing and cold outside. Luckily, I had some dope frat brothers that were looking out for me that would let me crash on their couch if it was too late. And I would just eat pizza that was free. Like someone didn't want their pizza because it had too many toppings or something like that. So that was kind of taking care of me. But I remember being so broke. But to your point, it was just that one that one person that pointed me in the right direction. Like, oh, this is what you're trying to do? Look at this program. So I appreciate the grind that I had to go through and the pain that I had to go through. But it would have been so much more amazing if someone would have just been like, hey, you should look at this. So I agree with you there.
And shout out to Greek life. Greek
Shout
life
out
is
to
always the best life.
Yes, we both are Greek too. So.
Oh, I saw it. I told you. I watch y'all videos. I'm up to date. This is when you plug that YouTube.
Plot twist. So yes, we have a vlog where we are extremely raw and real.
We're trying to get better at it, guys.
We're trying to get better at consistently dropping content. But I think the biggest thing there for me is we both were typically pretty reserved people when it came to our personal lives. And it was a chance for us to actually open up.
Be a little open book.
Yeah.
And
So Plot Twist vlog on YouTube, y'all.
I would have never known that, right? You know, when people, even like for you, Jameila, if I see like you dancing or something like that on your social media, I would just assume that you're an open and a confident person, right? And just like, I'm willing to share everything.
Girl, I am such, like, even like my closest friends be so surprised at the things I say on my vlogs. Like, you told them you said that? I'm like, I know. But I'm trying to get better, you know. Yeah.
And I know you two talked about how you met. You met in Atlanta. I assume, was it 11 months then when you first got down there? Is that when you met him, or was that months into being in Atlanta?
So we met on a FaceTime call through a mutual friend in 2013. So I used to do color. I was on Color Purple tour when I was in college, on a national tour, and we had shared a best friend basically. And she was on a FaceTime call with him, and then he was like, you know, who was that in the background? But, you know, I was in a relationship, so I'm like, hello, how you doing? You know, and then ever since then, I just kind of knew Brooklyn for just through her, and just knowing Brooklyn just as like the Alpha Brooklyn, just knowing them or whatever. And then he was moving to Atlanta, and ironically, I was with that same friend on the day of his going away party. So she was like, oh crap, I gotta go to Brooklyn going away party. You want to come with me? Blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go, whatever. We went, and so that's when we physically met in 2 years later, in 2015.
3 years later.
3 years later, 2016 or something like that. And then he moved, and then when I got to Atlanta, I had visited Atlanta also before I moved there, and we met up.
We hung out.
Maybe once or twice, I don't remember. But it was also through more mutual friends. And then when I moved there, literally, my first weekend, I was still in a relationship, but literally he was like not my only friend, but somebody that I knew that lived there from the previous time. So like we only had each other on Snapchat. So I was like, you know, I'm like staying here with my mom, what you doing? You know, he was like, no, I'm just chilling at home watching TV. You welcome to like slide or whatever. So I'm like, I don't have nothing else to do. I'm just come over there. You know, it was literally innocent. Like everything was just like, oh, we just chilling. Like he cool. Like we cool, you know? And then that's when we first started, like, I guess, talking or started communicating more than we ever did since 3 years.
Through Snapchat.
Like, all our conversation was just through Snapchat. Literally.
That's why you're a social media strategist. Look at you.
Exactly.
It's making sense. And then from there, then how long? So you were in Atlanta then for how long when you guys were together?
We officially started dating in February of 2018.
Okay.
Like exclusively dating, because before that, again, and it's probably not a popular thing you would hear from most guys, but I pushed her to have her hot girl summer. I knew she just came out of a 5-year relationship, and my whole thing was, okay, you may be officially available now, but I would hate for us to be in something and you have in the back of your mind that feeling like I wish I would have got to do X, Y, or Z. So much to the point where, and we've talked about this on our vlog too, but so much to the point where I even dropped her off at the airport to go visit another guy. And this is before.
I'm sorry, come again?
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I mean, because again, like when she first got down
Confidence.
When she first got down there, she was in a relationship, and you know that's not my place to interrupt a happy home. And then when things ended, I got the down low from our mutual friend, and they were like, yo,
Right,
by
he
the
didn't
way,
even know, 'cause I didn't even tell him we broke up. I'm
she's
just
like, by the way, she's single. I was like, oh yeah, what's up? So we started like, like hanging out, like we would have like a sushi date here, sushi date there. She was dancing, but then also driving Uber too to help, make ends meet. And her mom lived in Jonesboro at the time, which is, if anyone's familiar with Georgia, Atlanta, and all that jazz, it's like a 30-45 minute ride from the city. And she gets out of dance class pretty late. So it's like, you can get out of dance class at like midnight, 1 in the morning, and then have to make that drive back. Or, and this is obviously after we've been spending some time together, or you can just hang out with me since I lived in the city.
Right.
And so over time, like she started hanging out with me more to the point where I was like, well, you're here all the time. You want a key? You're here all the time. You want a parking spot? Like you want some drawers in the dresser? So yes, I definitely was consistently shooting my shot, but I was still, a huge advocate before we were together of like, yo, get whatever you have to get out your system, because I know what I want. Like I knew, as we talked about before, I didn't want another relationship. But when I met her and got to know her vibe and got to know who she was, I was like, if I'm going to pursue you, this is going to be for real. So get whatever you got to get out the way, because we get married. This is
he made it hard, though. Like, you did. You was like, it would be like, I'll be texting people, but it's like, you know how that person is like, you try not to compare, but you do. It's just like, I mean, but they're like, so why even waste my time if I know they're like
doing
this
that,
and then he's doing that, This he planned my 25th birthday party. He bought me a dog. He gave me a key. Like it was like my mom was an advocate of like, no,
he's just going. He's like, yeah, go ahead and try to talk to somebody else.
It was like he made it hard for me to be like.
I was pursuing courting her. So I also like road trips. So periodically I would drive to and from Atlanta and Chicago. And one of those times I drove up to Chicago with just me and her mom. Like she was ready
for my birthday party. We wasn't together.
Wow.
So,
and he was like, him and my mom planned not a surprise. It was just I wanted this big birthday party and they planned it. I didn't have to do anything, like pay for anything, nothing. Like, and he drove from Atlanta to Chicago with my mom in the car.
Wow.
Like he knew what he was doing. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
And just so y'all know, I don't know if y'all know about geography, but driving from Atlanta to Chicago is a very far drive.
11 hours, like 12. Yes. 11 to 12 hours.
It depends. I would say anywhere from 8, depending on how fast I drove.
Babe, it's like 11 hours.
You had her mother in the car. You were driving the speed limit.
Oh, I was driving, so I think it's like 10 hours.
Exactly.
And we had a full conversation.
And my mom can talk.
When you're like driving up in a long trip and you think, oh, people are going to be sleepy. No, like we were awake the entire time. It wasn't even a talk. Like we just had conversations, but it felt so natural. Came up with a nickname for her and everything, and then she asked what my intentions were, and I was like, I just want what my parents have, and I think that's what won her over.
Yeah.
Wow. In the comments we have, Matt has always been a planner.
Who said that?
Alita artist, maybe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I like to structure everything out. I'm one of those people that is still adjusting to that advice that we all hear. It's like you can only control what you can control, but you can control how you react. I'm still trying to deal with that as an adult here, where I like to try to control as much as I possibly can or plan as much as I possibly can. But this entire thing between the two of us has been a plot twist, and I think that's what actually attracted me to it more.
Got it. And so how do you guys pursue, like, not even dating since you both are engaged, but like are able to still pursue your passions while spending time and being together?
Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, so I mean, with us being stuck inside these four walls now, of course that shifts some things, but I think a lot of it is just having reality checks or being aware of what the other person's love language is. We consistently having that conversation. It's not something that just clicks. Like people see us on social and they're like, oh my goodness, y'all such a happy couple. We also are being celibate until marriage. So every argument, every like discussion, anything, we have to resolve all that through words. Like you can't just physically do something and be like, oh girl, I love you. It's like we have to talk about
That's true. Yeah.
So I think we're able to focus on those passions by just having open flow of communication. Like sometimes like, yo, babe, like I gotta work. I'm gonna be doing this, and that. And she'll be like, okay, cool. And she'll find something else to do for the day or vice versa. She'll be like, hey, I got a class I'm about to take in the living room. And she'll do that. And then I'll just go mind my own business and do my own thing. I think communication is the biggest thing.
I think we've realized that communication is the thing that we have to do, because it's like, it's some days where it's like, no, I really need you today. Like, I really need your touch, your presence. I want you to talk to me. I need you to spend time, because I'm such a people person. So like, I get my energy from people. Like, I'm an extrovert, so I need to be like around people, doing stuff with, like, and he's a little bit of both, so he can be an extrovert, but internally he's an introvert. He can read a book, he can listen to a podcast, he can work all day if he wants to, like, he can write down like stuff, and I need those other things to like inspire me to do those things, So it's like, some days it's cool, like, yeah, babe, I just got done working, I'm gonna play the game, and it's like, okay, cool, like, okay, well, I can just go do something else. Then some days it's like, I need you to, like, can we take a walk? Can we, like, have date night? Can we watch a movie together? Like, I can't, like,
Yeah.
It seems like it will be hard to do, but we have to have that conversation to be like, no, babe, just tell me. Like, if I don't know, if you don't say nothing, So I have to just be like, no, I cannot really need you today. And he can be like, and sometimes his me time, is playing the game. Like, he needs his time sometimes. Like, babe, I've had a long 2 days. Can I play tonight? Like, can I do this? And I'd be like, yeah, you deserve it. Like, we've had, some moments or whatever. So it's all about, like, give and take, like, compromise, communication, sacrifice. Like, it's hard, but it's definitely been working, especially in, like, this quarantine. Just being honest.
Yeah, and then back to your, like, initial question in regards to how we focus on our dream or our passion, whatever it is, while still having time for each other. It's just that. My recharging time is, when I do those introverted things. Her recharging time is when we're spending time together. So again, just communicating and figuring out what we both need to do to recharge so we can run at what we're here to do. I've always been a huge fan of the statement of, like, you compliment me, not you complete me, because I don't believe someone should complete you. And I think when we communicate and figure out how to compliment one another and push one another, it only makes us both better at pursuing those things. And plus, we're both supportive of the other person. So.
Yeah.
I love that. It's pretty much like you guys are easily communicating. What?
By the way, like, all the explaining he did about what he do in social strategy, you was like, what is that? Me, still don't know.
So I should have asked y'all to explain what each other does.
That would have been hilarious. I'd have been like, social media data. So whatever that, figure it out.
I'd have been like, the Macarena. She gets paid. I don't know.
So we got a question from, I think she clarified her name, Stephanie. She said, how do you push your partner to pursue dreams without feeling like that's more important than y'all relationship?
That's a fantastic question. Let me know if you disagree with the way to answer this. Okay. But I think a good way to answer this is I could talk about what I do and she could talk about how she feels a little bit. Because I'm a pusher, I'm a motivator. Like, if you look at my Instagram, if you know me in person, I am that annoying person. Like, oh, if I break my leg, I'll probably become a hopscotch champion. Like, that's me. I like to be motivational and find the positive in things. It's not always easy, but that's typically just what I do. So
that's why you and Perry are good friends.
Exactly. And Perry's a little bit more harsh than me. But that to be said, when it comes to, pushing your partner and not, pushing the relationship out of the picture, I mean, there are times where I slip on it where I'll be like, yo, you chilling right now. What are you doing? You could be working on something. She's like, babe, I just need this time to relax. Yo, why are you pushing me in that way? So I think it just all boils down to me understanding that I have a natural tendency to come off as an asshole. So I need to, I didn't expect her to agree so quickly. So I just need to not only, one, watch my tone, but two, put myself in her shoes at times where it's like, I think in my head that I always have to be going, improving something, improving this, improving that. But I have to understand everyone doesn't think like me. So it's about figuring out what the best way to communicate to her in her love language is. Maybe she needs some time with me before I spring that on her. I just can't come out of nowhere and just throw it at her like, hey, you need to be doing more. And that's something I'm consistently working at. I'm a Virgo, so I'm always looking at, ways to dissect things analytically or the logical explanation behind something. And I think the best way for me to do it, as I'm still learning today, is to incorporate some emotion to those conversations and figure out, okay, what does she really need to be her best self versus me just saying, yo, you should be your best self.
I think he explained it good. Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty much, at least for me, it seems like you have good intention, right? Like, I think whenever people have good intentions behind things and you know that person loves you and wants the best for you, I feel like then you don't second guess stuff like that, right? But if somebody random's like, you should dance more, like, you know, it's like, oh, I don't see you on social media. Are you sure that's a career for you? Like, you know, somebody's just like, that came from left field. Like, what you mean?
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, that's even an interesting statement, though, because, you know, if it comes from someone like that, it's like it comes from left field, whatever. But when it comes from someone you care about, you're like, oh, is this an attack?
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing, too, is like trying to figure out a way where we're not attacking one another. Because, I mean, she's called me out, too. If you would have looked at my Instagram about 2 months ago, I was working out on my stories every day. Like, it was a thing. And then as time went on, it kind of disappeared. And then we got stuck inside and they closed our gym and that stopped happening. And there'll be some mornings I wake up and she'll be like, when's the last time you worked out? And I'm like, but again, I know it's coming from a place of love. And then we have those conversations. And then like how that started to morph as we've gotten closer together is she'll be like, hey, you want to work out together? Or like I was working out on the balcony today and she just came over and did a couple things with me. So it's about just being there for the other person. Because when it does come from someone you love, it can feel like an attack, but it's just looking past that and seeing, to your point that you just said before, Brittany, is like, they have my best intentions at heart. It's nothing that's, you know, malicious.
Right. And so being together so long, has like quarantine affected anything with your careers or your relationship?
I don't know.
And it could be in good ways. It's not, I don't mean like just a negative way.
I think part of the reason for me why we moved so quickly, or why I tried to move so quickly, is again, logic is at the top of my list. I want emotion to be there, but that's just not where it is yet. Emotion is catching up slowly but surely. But logically, I realized that I can stand her. And that sounds terrible to say. But I mean that from a place of love, meaning like when we started spending so much time together, when I gave her a key to my place, when we ultimately moved into a crib together, when we moved to LA together, all these things were happening. And I was spending 90% of my time with her. The other 10% was at work. But the rest of my time was with her. So all the quarantine did is just magnify what I already knew, is I can live with her, be stuck in the same place with her. And she doesn't get on my nerves. Even if she does a little bit, it's like, I can look at her and be like,
that's relationship.
I want to spend forever with you.
Yeah.
It's like, I love you. However, it's still like, even if, you know, like it doesn't matter what happens in time. Like, again, we're being celibate.
Right.
That changes a lot of things for people, but it doesn't matter to me because I can stand her. And I think this quarantine just magnified that. It's like, we're stuck in the crib together. Okay. It didn't change. We'll probably irritate each other in different ways here or there, but I still can stand her and still want to be around her as a person.
I think for me, it changed a little bit. Just a little.
Okay.
Just a little, just because, like I said before, with my career, I have to be around people. So I'm used to going to class during the day or while he's at work, and then having that recharge. So by the time we come back together, I'm like good. So regardless of whatever he needs, if he needs that game or if he's good with having a date night, it's that like I'm good regardless, you know. So it changed because now I have to try to recharge kind of like with myself, or like do the classes online and he's in the corner, and then now when he's done, I have to try to like fight that, like find that like, ooh, is it a good day? Like, can I like spend some time? Or, you know, it's a little hard for me, to be honest. 'Cause I feel like he still has that normal work day. It's like, I mean, every day he's up by 9. I mean, by 8:30 to the computer by 9, and then his days can run from 9 to 4 or 9 to 7:30, 8, you know. And stuff like that. It's like I may have did what a dance class can last an hour, 30 minutes, or, you know, I can only do so many dance classes in my living room, you know. So I'm still looking for that recharge of people. And then it may be a hard day for him at a 7 o'clock night when he's done, and he like, I need some me time because I need to refresh. And I'm like, hey, look at me, pay attention to me, I'm here, you know. So I think it changed a little bit, but I think overall, like I said, the communication is what it is what it's based on. It's just like, babe, I need it today, because.
And she touched on that person. Like I talked about the relationship side of things, but professional side of things, I mean, if anything, it's not really changed because I think my routine. So, by the way, to answer your question, Perry, I'm overwhipped. But
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
his question
Perry
is,
asked,
go ahead, you can read it.
he said, "How whipped are you, Matt, on a scale of 1 to overwhipped?" And I said, "I'm overwhipped." But no, like having a routine. So I wake up in the morning. 4 out of the 5 days of the week, I'm getting dressed in something that's not, just Adidas sweats. I'm actually throwing on jeans, throwing on an outfit.
Wow.
I'm listening to a podcast to kick off my mornings. I'll try to listen to a chapter of a book similar to If I Were Still Driving to Work, and then I'm jumping into meetings at my work. So I think that routine has kind of kept things normal for me and kept me pushing forward. But again, to Mila's point, is it makes it really easy for me to do because there's something I'm supposed to be doing from this time to this time.
Right.
And then I just kind of factor in everything that I was doing before. It's like, okay, well, before work, I was listening to a book. After work, I was listening to a book because I was driving. Now that I'm not driving anymore, that just means I do it at home. And maybe I couple that with cooking, or maybe I couple that with brushing the dogs. So having that structure, that routine has kind of kept things normal for me. And then on top of that, I've just accepted that this is just an ongoing thing. Everyone's like, oh, the new date is this, the new date is that. It's like LA extended until May 15th. And in my head, I'm just like, look, we locked up until whenever. And that's kept it easy for me to keep pushing on because I'm not going for it, expecting a date for things to change. And when it gets pushed back, I'm not let down. It's just like, yo, this summer's a wrap.
That's part of mindfulness. That's just like acceptance, right? You're just accepting what's going on, and you're like, all right, it's going to happen. My mom commented on y'all. She's funny to talk her. She said, "You both are adorable. Trust me, friendship will carry you through the rest of your life." Yeah,
Thanks, Mom.
my parents have been married for over 30 years, and literally, I think friendship has been like the key for them, right? They come home, they can be mad or upset or something. Like relationships aren't always rosy, right? Like you can see on social media, people can make things rosy, but it's not always good times. But it's how you get through those bad times, right? So I've been in my single phase for a little bit, so I'm trying to, figure that out. Take all the relationship advice from y'all, from Perry's relationship, from my parents, and see what's great.
Girl, live your best.
Okay.
I'm trying. So what drives you guys? What makes you so hungry, like, to keep pursuing? I mean, not even just a relationship, but I mean career-wise. What keeps you so focused to continue and not like pick up any side jobs or quit what you're doing?
You want me to answer?
Yeah. She said, looked at me. I didn't know if I panicked. This one just stared straight. I'm not prepared.
Well, I had a side job. So when we moved to LA, even in Atlanta, I was a server in LA. I worked at Harold's in Atlanta.
Harold's like Chicago Harold?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's job. It was my first serving job, and I'm like, what better job
serving,
to start
you should probably
Harold's.
Explain what they mean by serving, because some people don't understand that Harold's in Atlanta is different.
Oh, okay. So like the Harold's in Atlanta is like a restaurant-ish.
Oh, it's an experience.
Yeah, so it's two.
Look at that.
It's one in Edgewood, which is like the city, the main one that usually people go to for like you coming from out of town or whatever. It's in Edgewood. Edgewood is like the downtown kind of ish, right, of Atlanta. Then it's one in Marietta that was new. So we had, when we got together in February of 2018, we started looking for somewhere to stay because he bought me a dog. So now we have 2 huskies, and his lease was about to be up. And we need bigger space because he's going to grow, and they're just going to, so we started looking for houses. So we lived in a 4-bedroom, fully fenced backyard.
Oh, okay.
1.5 bath, big house in Marietta, right? So, and Harold's was literally like a 10-12 minute drive. So I'm like, I need, to make more income. I don't want to drive no more, do Uber. So I end up waitressing at Harold's, which is I literally come get your order, and saying we had a bar, so drinks, everything, hookah, everything was like, that's how the
You've never been
to Harold's is it? No, I've never been to Harold's in Atlanta.
So I mean, the food isn't. If you talk to anyone from Chicago, they'll say the food isn't the same. I'm not from Chicago. I spent a lot of time in Chicago, but I still love the Harold's in Atlanta because it's like you go there for the vibe, and the chicken is still good.
And I'm from Chicago, and I know the chicken was good.
Oh,
everybody talks about the Harold's on 87th. That's the only one that I can compare it to.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah. So, and the chicken was good because the chefs are all from Chicago. Like all the cooks and stuff are from.
Okay.
The owners are from Chicago. Everything is kind of like normal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that job and then moved to LA unexpectedly. It was like literally he interviewed and we had to be gone in like 2 weeks. So I'm like,
Wow.
Okay, cool. We doing this. You know. So I took a month off when we moved here because we was in corporate housing. So I'm like, I don't know where we're gonna live. So I just took a month off from work. So I was not working, but I was like still trying to train or whatever. And then I worked at a retail shop. It was a thrift store called Buffalo Exchange, which is a great store. Clutch. If you don't know. And then in November of last year, I quit. Because I wanted to just pursue and I wanted to just really be focused on dance, and I didn't want to miss no more auditions. I didn't want to miss classes. I wanted to be available at all time whenever anything dance related needed me, you know. And then Corona happened, so then I quit in November, and then holidays. You had a tour. And then January came back. I got sick. End of February, I booked the tour, and then Corona happened. So I finally booked my first tour, and then everything stopped. So I guess to answer your question, like what makes me hungry is that I'm not gonna stop until I get what I want. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like I mean, I know I've been waiting this long. I've been going this long. Regardless of like what's happening around my life, like I know what my goal is. Like I said before, I only have a plan A. Like I don't have a plan B. So if plan A don't work, it's not a thing if it don't work, because it's gonna have to work because I don't have nothing. You know what I mean? So that's personally what makes me hungry is like nothing is gonna stop me. Like once this is over, I'm still back on that path. Like my relations, everything can be good around me, but I need to know that that's gonna happen. Like it's gonna work.
And then on my side, again, I'm extremely hit-ass and like that motivational person. I believe that average isn't an option. I'm Bughetto and Sophista Ratchet, so I like nice things. And part of me liking nice things and nice experiences and nice technology means that you have to live a certain type of lifestyle. And to live that lifestyle, you have to show up. And I was actually talking to one of my neos about this the other day. He was asking, what about LA made me love this city so much beyond the weather? And that's a crazy question to ask, because LA without the weather is just an overpriced city. The food is like, and like very superficial, where like a lot of people are crabs in a barrel mentality. However, the things I love about LA, again, taking weather aside and the good people I know out here aside, is it forces you to show up similar to kind of how a New York does, but with a little bit more chill of a vibe. And when I say that, I mean, you can't come to LA and be bullshitting.
Right.
If you do, you're going to be, and I mean, again, no disrespect to anyone, but that's just not for me. You're going to be a very mediocre person in regards to life. Like your apartment's going to be mediocre, or your house is going to be mediocre, your car, so on and so forth. I know what I want and what I want to get after, and I'm one of those people that's like what Drake say, the prophet Drake. I'm the type to say a prayer and go get what I just prayed for. I know there's a certain tax bracket that I want to be in life. I know there's a certain lifestyle that I want to live, a certain lifestyle I want to provide for her. One of the things we talked about moving here is like my salary needed to hit this point where you don't have to worry about working. Of course, financial things popped up, so she's been an amazing partner throughout that. But my ultimate goal is to make sure if she don't want to work, she don't got to work. We can have, we only want 4, but we can have 15 kids running around the crib, and it's not a problem for us financially. That's what I'm trying to get to. And I think every day when I wake up, that's something that I'm constantly reminding myself is if I slack too much in a city like this, then I'll be fucked, and I refuse to be fucked.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what keeps me going, is consistently making sure I'm stepping up to the plate and being challenged by people in a way that's going to make me show up as my best self. It's almost similar to an experience of, I think I saw it in a movie, People Pledge or something. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm trying to talk about this in a way where I won't get in trouble. I saw a movie about someone who pledged, and I remember him saying that the animal that came out of him was a different type of beast that showed up when you try him. And I believe
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah. And if you show up in a way and you treat life the same way, it's like some amazing results. Like the human brain is like, you know, possible so many incredible things. And I think that's what just excites me, is because I know this isn't anywhere near the end, and I'm so excited to see where I climb to. So that's what motivates me, is like, I know there's a next step.
We literally said it today. Or was that today or yesterday? We were like, it's literally only up from here. We don't know why we were tripping. We were like, we don't know why we were tripping. We just, it's gotten better since we met. Like, it's like, it's only increased, you know, we've only gotten further and further since. So why we even like tripping about where we are or what, like, you gotta just keep this faith and trust God that everything is gonna just go.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get better. It's not gonna get worse. Like, that's the only thing.
How can people stay connected with you guys? Like, if they want to talk to you about questions for dance or social media strategy, or in general just about you both, or how can people follow you all?
I think we both are really, really good at getting back to people via social media.
Okay, yes. I was gonna
via
say
social media. I said that specifically. He's terrible with phones. And I'm kind of terrible with social media, kind of. But when I get, like, I don't have, like, my notifications on for Instagram or none of my social media apps. Like, when I'm in the app, then I'll see it. But once I'm out of the app, I may go back in 2 hours later, and then I see it. But I respond, you know? But he, on the other hand, has his notifications on, so you can, like, DM him. We respond literally to almost all, if like 95% of anybody who, it can be strangers. Like, I frequently check my request box. It can be strangers if I'm not following you, if you follow me and you just need to, you know, like, have questions. Like, I'm always open to helping people. Like with YouTube, he checks that frequently on YouTube. I check Facebook a lot. So I would say social media, our DMs. What do you think?
I was gonna say the same. So it depends on what channel, what you're reaching me for. Of course, we can tailor the conversation towards whatever. I wouldn't go to like our Plot Twist YouTube page and start asking for career advice.
Right.
Like if you're trying to get into advertising per se, yeah, I would say like come to my LinkedIn, come to my Instagram, even text me. Even though I'm really, really bad at responding to people, because I've gotten to a place where my job is to be plugged into social media, I don't want to stare at a screen all day. So I just put my phone down. Like my notifications are on, but I'm not checking because I'm tired of staring at it all day. However, when it comes to people that are trying to figure out whether it be career advice, whether it be just needing some motivation, there have been people that have asked me, you know, relationship advice too, which is just wild knowing what my history was. But all those things to say, I'm going to get back to you as fast as I can. And if not, just hit me up again. Like, yo, did you see my message? I think another thing that is huge when it comes to motivating myself is rest in peace. One of my, you know, best mentors I've had, his name was Todd Lee. And he basically said, lift as you climb. And that's something that motivates me as well, because, you know, there's so many different opportunities out here in the world that we have been blessed to come into contact with. Like she said, like, I mean, it's been 2 years, and our relationship has just seen so many ups and downs, but the ups have been so glorious that it's like, yo, who else would be in this position right now? So in the event that I have an opportunity to turn around and bring in someone that looks like me, or just someone who's curious whether they look like me or not about the advertising industry, if I can help teach them or educate them or give them the boost or the push in any way that I can, I'm going to do it. So
he's really good about that.
Yeah. So
his career, he's really good about responding. Like if you respond to him with something that he's a workaholic guy. So if you ask any question with work, he's like, oh, I gotta call it at 2. They want to ask me about. I'm like, okay, don't give him a call.
So all that to say, hit us up on any channel. Worst case scenario, we may take a little bit to get back to you, but just remind us. And if we're not following you on Instagram and you hit us up, it goes to a different folder. So just do us a favor and comment on something, like a picture or something like that.
Like check DM or something. But I usually check my request box frequently as much as I check my regular DMs. I do. So if you want to contact him and you need contact me first, I'll check it and I'll tell him to
There you go.
So we got 7 minutes left. I have a few more questions, but I'm gonna try to go to the better ones first.
Okay.
Or maybe not the funner one. So what do you think is the funnest part of your relationship, or the best part?
What you gonna say?
Well, we can't say sex because we celibate. So. Oh, your mom watching. I mean,
hi, Mom.
Bible study.
No. honestly, I think the funnest part of our relationship is us of him showing his extroverted side with me and like going out, the date nights, the like turning up on a random weekend, and like him being like, come on, let's, you know what I mean? Like it's we truly have fun, like for real, like as we like friends kicking it, like, babe, we finna go to the party, like, yeah, we finna go and get lit, and we literally go and get lit, literally. And then what helps is just like communication. Like our relationship is a relationship. Every relationship is like, you know, it's different, but we still have those relationship moments. But overall, we're really good at relationship. I don't know how to explain that.
I would say the two things for me that are the thing that is the most fun or enjoyable about the relationship, I would say, is the fact that I can be my authentic self. I like to think I'm a lot cooler than I actually am, but I know I'm a nerd. I know I'm like a geek. I do a lot of things that are corny as hell.
I'm the same way. So
and that's the thing. Like, you know, it works for some people, and other people are like, what? It goes to another extreme when you really know me, and she's still okay with it. Like, I can show up and just be weird. I always said she's out of my league, but she still accepts me for who I am. So I would say that's the most enjoyable part of it. And then I would say my favorite thing is the fact that it's something I learned from my parents. I never saw them have an argument. I'm not saying they don't argue because that's not healthy, or I haven't seen them have a disagreement, but I've never seen them have a heated argument. And they told us when we were growing up, they did that on purpose. They're like, you need to make sure that with your significant other, you can discuss things like adults, like, you know, like have a mature conversation. And again, everyone's different. Some people are more emotionally charged, and so that's going to come out over logic. But I think for me, when I was looking at my next relationship before her and I started dating, was I needed to make sure whoever I was with, we can talk to each other like adults and not disrespect each other, not raise our voice, not curse at each other. And I'd say my favorite part is whenever we have something we disagree on, even if we go a little bit of time without talking to one another, then about like 15 minutes later, it's like, so you still mad? Or
are we going to talk? Or
and it may be like we have a weird thing where we're like uncomfortable conversations. And like, we'll talk about that type of stuff. But it's, I don't know, it's refreshing to be able to have someone that when something is bugging you, you can talk to them about it without having to feel like you walk on eggshells.
Even if you agree to disagree, it's like, oh God, I got that over. And then you can still be like this. We can still be like, okay, babe, well, that's over. We just agreed to disagree. But how was your day? Like, that happens a lot. You know, like, it's normal.
And then even if we can't, we just say like, yo, I need a second. And then we'll leave the other person alone until we're ready to talk again. So I would say those are my two things. The fact that I can be myself, and the fact that I don't feel like it's a battle when we disagree on something.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think you kind of brought up one of, you probably brought up an answer to one of the questions I always lead or end off this live with is, who's being great in your lives, right? Who's influencing you, pushing you? I know you probably each other is, I know your answer too, but like, who's pushing you? Who do you see in your personal circle that's like being great and motivating you?
Can I name two?
You can name as many people as you want. We got 3 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So the first one I'll start out with, I just saw her jump into this live right now. Tonice Fields, she just commented. She's down in Atlanta, and I just love what she's doing with photography. It's so crazy. So I met her through, you know, like you move to Atlanta and there's a ton of young Black professionals trying to have fun. So we ended up in the same group me together. And then her and I just hit it off because she was a genuine person. But it's just beautiful to see how she pursues photography and how she can make things come to life. And what she sees is like, if I'm watching specifically sports, so like if I'm watching a basketball game and I see someone dunk, I'm excited about the dunk. She's more so focused on being able to capture that beautiful shot in air and like the emotion and all that type of intensity.
I love it.
And so that's something that's dope to me. And then the second person I would say is a mentee of mine. Her name's Denasia. DENEEDJA. I don't know. I'll share it if y'all reach out to me. But her and I had a conversation a while back in regards to, you know, just how she felt about her professional career and that she started to see some passions in other places. And since that conversation, she already started doing it before, but she's blossomed in the fitness world where like she's totally revamped not only how she's approaching social media and how she talks about fitness, but she's actually going along the journey as well. So you could see the growth, you can see the progress. So that's inspirational to me to actually see someone getting up and getting after their grind day in and day out, regardless of what's happening in the Corona economy or whatnot. Like she's like, oh, I can't go to the gym. I'm going to go to my roof and work out. So I would say Tonice and Denasia are my two.
You got 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
So cut us out.
Go.
Shout out. Wait, what was the question? I'm not good at this.
Who's being great in your life? Anybody who's pushing you?
Oh, pushing me to be great. Well, I have my mom is always pushing me, so she's a really, really, really big inspiration to me with relationship wise. I also want to shout out my sister who just had a baby, and it's just really been inspiring me as a mother because she's on this whole holistic mother journey and breastfeeding, and like mom life is new to her, and it's just like I couldn't imagine being through a pandemic right now with a child, and it's just like she's a vegan and been eating healthy. It's just great. So like she really inspires me to do what I do, and I just want to shout her out. Oh, Nana is her name.
Facts. We got 3 seconds. I was gonna cut us out. Sorry.
Back on. Instagram is not letting us live. I'm telling you. Not at all. Boom.
Facts. Instagram doesn't let us live. It's okay.
I know.
It's all right. It's all right. But I appreciate that. I really appreciate y'all coming on the live for real, and sharing your experience, sharing your journey, being open, and expressing yourselves. But since I have you, let me ask you 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay. So what advice would you give to other couples?
Go ahead, baby.
Oh, in regards to what, just a life?
Just maybe just like in regards to having a successful or a happy relationship like yours.
I would say on my end, and I'm gonna be very, very real with you. I'm not gonna say it's an all the time thing. Every now and then, find a way to spice things up. Like, and when I say that, I mean I'm not talking about, get crazy like, oh, we gonna do handcuffs and whips tonight. No, I mean, sorry. I mean, spice it up in the manner of maybe one day you wake up and you look at it like, I'm gonna act like I don't have her and I need to win her again. And I think once you can start doing that, and it doesn't even like have to be something extremely grand. It can literally be just about your mindset when it comes to like how you're looking at them, how you're spending time. Like if you're, I'm not on my phone or I'm not talking to the guys right now, because once you get in a relationship, you start to fall back into your old tendencies a bit. And I mean, that's happened with me as well. She's talked about it before a little bit in this chat, is like, I like to play 2K. And when I was first pursuing her, 2K was basically non-existent because I was like, yo, Jameila calling, 2K's down. Like, guys, I'll be back. But then when we got together, I was like, babe, I'm on the game and she'll be having a conversation with me. I'm like, what? So I think, what was it, Friday the other night, like the guys were like, yo, you getting on tonight? And I just put my phone on mute, put it down, and just spent the evening with her watching movies and TV and things like that.
That's beautiful.
So I would say just try to find that spark every now and then to throw a wrench in things and treat it again like you're pursuing your partner.
I'm very spiritual, so of course I always say just always try to keep God in the middle of your relationship. Like once God is out of it, it's like it's gonna be very hard to connect. I feel like God put us together for a reason, and like I feel like He, I grow every day just by learning. I learn a new thing about Him every day. It's just like it just keeps me refreshed. It just keeps me it keeps me on my toes too. Just like what I need to do as a woman and what I need to do. Just in the relationship, just always do what you want as a person. Like whatever I feel like that I need individually or what I need personally, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it. Like I say that to a lot of like my single friends and like family members. I just be like, do what you want to do. If you want to call them, call them. If you want to, if you feel like you don't want to talk to them anymore, don't. Like it's what you don't assume what they're doing and what they're thinking is you're gonna go by that. Like no, if I want some time, I need some time. I'm gonna say it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I always do what I want to do. Like I can't never say that I didn't try because I did. Like I'm gonna try, and if it didn't work, it don't work. But as long as I know that I tried, like as long as I know that I did that, And then, like I said, just God and just reading. I read a lot about like relationship things, like devotions, and to grow your relationship and to how to be a better wife and how to be a better, you know, like person, whatever. So that's
Send those devotions my way. Thank you.
Girl, I got you, girl. Be my Bible playing friend.
I love that. I would love that. And so also on that same note of advice, what advice would you give to people who like want to dance?
Oh, I mean, it's the same. It's a really, really hard industry, to be honest. It's really, I didn't think it was, I didn't expect or think it was gonna be this hard. But it's a lot about who you know, less about skill. Like have the skill, train, do everything you can to be that person, to be that better person, to be that better dancer, to get as far as you can with that. But it's all about, honestly, the inner you. Like, it's about your personality. It's about how you meet people, how you network, like how you can help people. Like, it's not all about you. Like, you go to class, you learn you, and not like giving out, you know? So you got to keep at it. Like, you can't let nothing or no one get in your head and get in your way. If this what you want, this got to be what you like want, literally. Like, you got to like go for it. And don't think that you're not, just because you're not doing things that other dancers are doing, that you're not doing enough, you know? I don't take class every day at all. Like, I may take a class twice a week, to be honest, during quarantine. I'm like I said, I'm a real like in person. I need to be around people to feed up energy. So the whole dancing living room thing is not really like my thing. I do it, and I don't even like record videos of me doing it. Sometimes I do. But don't look at other people's journey and expect it to be yours. Like, and expect it like, man, she been dancing every day. She been like going to class every day, and like she getting booked tomorrow. You know, like, what am I not doing? That's not your journey. It's not what you're supposed to do. Like, what you doing is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, yes, always challenge yourself and like push yourself to do more. But don't think because you're not doing what somebody else is doing that it's wrong, or that you supposed to be doing that, because it's not. Just do go your pace. And like, you keep doing it and praying and being disciplined, you're going to get to what you want. Like, it's going to happen.
I love that. You got so many quotes in there. I'm writing everything down from this whole conversation, just so y'all know at the end I upload like everything to like this website so people can like know your story and like reach out and do stuff. But I'll send it to you. But my Instagram is more so going to be on quotes that people have said, right? Because everybody always refreshes quotes, but it's like people literally drop gems. Millennials drop gems all the time. And people are like, oh, that's cool, that's nice. But then you use all these old people's quotes. Like, nah, you got to use our quotes. Like, we the one that have like the real information now. Like,
literally, yeah.
And what about you, Brooklyn?
Since we dropping quotes,
Here you go.
one of my mantras in life, honestly, is sink or swim, and I don't believe in drowning. So I say that is literally throw yourself to the wolves with any opportunity that comes your way. And
sorry.
Okay, all right. Here's
so cute. He's like, all right, it's been an hour.
Right,
I've already
like,
been acting nice.
It's my time now. I think like the very first thing I would tell you to do is hit me up. We could talk about your situation, like where you are, if you're in the industry, if you're trying to break into the industry. That's a conversation we can have. But the reason why I said that quote about drowning, sink or swim, and all that jazz is, you never know until you literally throw yourself out there. And the worst thing that can happen is someone could say no. You only need one yes from anyone. And if it's a matter of, okay, but where do I actually get to start? What do I do to get involved in the industry? I say LinkedIn is a really good place. This is going to sound a little counterintuitive to what Mila was saying in regards to, you know, your journey is your own. And yes, I agree with that. However, I think LinkedIn is a great place for people that are looking to get into the industry. I do, because you can say, oh, okay, cool. So-and-so is the CMO of Beats. So-and-so is the CMO at BET. LinkedIn gives you a chance to see how they started their career. So you can really take a chance to start to browse through these different people and see, okay, now in 2020, they may have this position, but back in 1996, they were working here. And of course,
Right.
positions change over time, especially in the industry that I'm in. It didn't even exist back then, but I think it's still a good way to kind of give yourself an anchor on some roles that you can do, some opportunities you can look for to prepare yourself for that future place that you want to be. So I would say, again, to sum it all up, my two things are: throw yourself to the wolves. Don't be afraid of failure, because that's where the best opportunities are going to come from when you get that yes. And secondly, start to do that research on how some of those bigger names started out. A lot of people get so stuck in where people are now. So I don't know if you're familiar with Gary Vee.
Yep.
And everyone sees Gary Vee, and he's always like, drop content, do this, fuck that. But people don't realize when he first started out, his content looked terrible. So again, it's about doing that research and not trying to compare your step 1 to someone's step 200. And just focus on your own step 1, but use other people's step 1 as your motivation.
That's great.
And again, like I said, hit me up if y'all have any questions.
There's also a podcast by a guy named Guy Raz called How I Built This. And pretty much there's all these companies like Eventbrite, Starbucks, Google, and he literally interviews the founders about how they started the company. And like some companies you would think like, wow, it's like this person came from this privilege and this is how they built it. No, people literally built their companies from the ground up. And it's just a good way to go through that. So it's a good podcast to listen to as well.
How I Built This. Yep. Found it.
Amani put your quote. Yeah, see, I'm writing everything down, girl.
There we go.
Well, thank you guys so much. I don't want to take up all of your time, but I really appreciate you guys jumping in the live.
Thank you.
Sharing everything. This is great. I feel close to y'all now. One of my best friends lives out in LA, so I'll be out there. Don't worry.
Hey! Please let us know.
And when you guys ever come back to Chicago, you got a place. I'm here. So
for sure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.